Good evening. I'm Jeannette Travaline, and welcome to Dynamic Connections. Dynamic Connections is just what it sounds like, connecting people who are dynamic, and I always have some wonderful dynamic guests. My role at Dynamic Connections is to be the CEO, the Chief Encouraging Officer, because I think a lot of times when we talk to our colleagues or friends who are in business and they're trying to take things to the next level, that all they need is a little bit of encouragement. So always encourage your friends. I'm so glad you joined us tonight because I have two attorneys with me tonight. And they always seem so smart to me, attorneys do. One of them I've known for a long time, and another one I know recently, not as well. So I'd like to introduce to you Melissa Whish, an attorney, and Erica Ford.
Hi, Jeanette.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Let me just tell you a little bit about Melissa. Melissa has been an attorney for a long time, and I'm just going to tell you her credentials. She's a graduate cum laude of Regis College in Weston, and she got her law degree from the New England Law in Boston. Erica also got her graduate degree at the University of Michigan with a BA in English and French, and your BA was in communications,
Yes.
so I can kind of understand that, but English and French, and you're an attorney, holy mackerel. And your law degree came from Boston College Law School.
That's right.
Yes, wonderful. It makes me feel so smart when I'm around smart people.
You're plenty smart, Jeanette.
You think?
Don't fool yourself.
Yes.
Yes, you need encouragement too.
Yes.
Yes, I know. Everybody needs a little bit of that encouragement, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I just want to get a little background about what you've been doing as an attorney. So, Melissa, I know that you used to focus, or you still focus on mediation. So, can you talk a little bit about what that is?
Right, mediation. Yes, I've been in the arena of family law, if you will, for 30 years now. Okay. And that has evolved, and I kind of saw some needs for clients that weren't being filled, which brought me to the mediation piece of things. And the mediation format is, the way I run it is I meet with both people at the same time, and we work together to come up with a full agreement, and then they can either take it to attorneys to have it reviewed, or just look at it themselves and then get back to me on the final form of it, and then I prepare all the other documents that go with it as well, like a joint petition for divorce, etc. And then I submit it, they come in and sign it, and then I submit it to the court for them on their behalf, ask the court to schedule a hearing, and all it ends up doing is just one court appearance. So it's obviously the most economical, least emotional way to go about it.
Right.
A lot less wear and tear.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and how long have you been an attorney?
I have been an attorney since 2000, so 18 years.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So.
And what kind of law do you practice? I know there's lots of different kinds.
Family law.
Okay.
But I started out in litigation at Bingham McCutcheon in Boston. So I did antitrust, some patent, commercial, pharmaceuticals, products liability. So nothing like what I'm doing now.
Wow.
And yeah, so I got interested in mediation because people had pointed out to me that I was very empathic, and that and I realized that what I like the best is when I talk to people and I can, speaking of English degree and law, I can put into words what they're needing and feeling, and that moment when they say, "That's it," and I realized that I love that so much, and that made me happy when I could do that for people. So I ended up getting certified. I thought, how can I translate this? And I thought, mediation. I hadn't even met Melissa yet, but I thought mediation. So I got certified to be a mediator.
Okay, so there's education in that, isn't
Yes.
there first? Yes.
Yes.
So when you were a little girl, Melissa, did you always want to be an attorney?
It's funny you mention that because my mother was actually an attorney.
Really?
Yes. I grew up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania from age 1 to 15. And she, at the time, was the only woman attorney in the county practicing law.
Wow.
And we're talking like around 1960, 62, 63, somewhere in that area. When she went to law school at Duquesne at night in Pittsburgh, she was the only woman in the whole law school there, too.
Yeah.
So she was a real pioneer. And she used to take me after school down to the courthouse if she had to file things. So I kind of got introduced to the idea, and then she was appointed a master of divorce in Pennsylvania where they could actually hear divorces instead of judges, and she had all these opinions she had written in the cabinet, and I remember so clearly as a little girl pulling those out of the cabinet and sitting on the floor and reading them. And
wow.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
but something about it drew me to it, and then I didn't go to college for it, obviously, and then, I remember senior year in college thinking, if I don't do this, I'll never be happy with myself. So I worked for a year or two, and then when that job disappeared, unfortunately, I thought now was my time to go to law school.
Wow.
So that's how that happened.
Wow. You know, the last guest that we had on the last show kind of did what you did. They kind of grew up in the business and then stayed in the business, which is really interesting. And you kind of did the same thing, you know, being with her and reading all those opinions or those things that you said you read.
Right.
Yeah.
Same area of law. You know,
Wow,
I stepped right into those shoes.
Wow. Well, she must have been real proud of you that you kind of followed in her footsteps.
She was. I was glad that she was still alive to see me graduate and get out there in the world.
Right.
It's great.
I know she'd be proud of you. How about you, Erica? Was that your dream to be an attorney?
No, I wanted to be Olivia Newton-John. That was pretty much my goal. I wanted to be a singer like her.
Really?
Yes.
Do you sing?
I did when I was younger.
But you won't sing now?
I won't. I probably would,
I wouldn't
but
push you
nobody
into
else
it.
would want me to. And then I wanted to be a nurse for a very long time. I wanted to be a nurse, and then I thought maybe I'd be an English professor. So then, when I was a junior in college, somebody came around to my French class and said they need fluent French speakers for an internship in Ottawa at the House of Commons in Parliament.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, well, I'll do that. And I went and worked for a member of Parliament, and I loved it so much. And that's when I got interested in law. I realized that I liked I liked doing something tangible, or that affected people in a sort of a daily way, legislation, that sort of thing.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, when I think of healthcare, I think of people that help people. So if you were in that, and then when I think of this kind of law, this mediation kind of thing, it's helping people as well. You know, sometimes you lawyers get a bad rap when really all you want to do is help people get along. So I was looking at your website. I'm going to bring it up here on my phone again. And I really liked what you had put on your homepage. It said, "Your story is not written in stone." Mm-hmm. And I thought, some people probably think they're locked into where they're at, and that's what happened to me. I thought I was locked into a marriage, and there was just no way to get out of it. But this is true. I think it is.
Oh, absolutely.
So I was really taken by that.
Thank you.
Well, that's where Four Winds Advisors is the latest adjunct to the practice. That is another niche beyond mediation to capture those folks that are contemplating a divorce but aren't quite ready yet to enter the legal system.
Yes.
And they're kind of treading water and don't know what they don't know. And so Erica and I actually formulated this plan ourselves and made it come to life this past year. And it's been really well received, I have to say.
That's wonderful.
It's funny because it is such a novel concept. People, you tell them and then they kind of cock their head for a minute and they go, "Oh, that's a really great idea."
Yes.
So it's been really gratifying to have thought of something unique that people really need and will help them.
Right. Yes, I never heard of this before, and I remember going through this whole process where I was terrified when I had to meet with the attorney because it's like, what are you supposed to say? You know, I've been in banking my whole life, and I have no idea about law.
And it makes it real, because sometimes people they're not in the space that says, okay, I need a divorce.
Right.
Right? And so they don't want to go to the attorney at that point, because that's making it real. You're taking a tangible step to divorce. So we're addressing, there's this whole phase before you take that step where you think it might be coming, or you think it might be something that you need to do. And you're wondering, who gets the kids? Do I move out? Will I keep my house? Would I financially be able to do this? What is the judge going to decide? Or how can I do this? And it's paralyzing.
It is paralyzing.
It's paralyzing. And,
yes.
And at that point, you're just not in a space to say, okay, I'm hiring a divorce attorney, or I'm going there. So we're divorce attorneys, but we're addressing this very particular stage of the process that we saw was happening and wasn't being addressed.
So did you know each other before you decided to do this, or did you meet each other and talk about what you did for work, and one of you said, How did that come about?
I reached out to Melissa because I was interested in mediation. So I'd gotten my mediation certification and I'm mediating at court, but I wanted more. So, and I knew that I wanted to get in the divorce realm. And my good friend, and your good friend, Stan Blackmer.
Yes.
So I was telling him, I want to talk to somebody. And he goes, I have a friend who's a divorce mediator. You could talk to her. So that's how that came about.
That's, you know what, and that goes back to what I say a lot is networking.
Right.
You know, you don't,
The old-fashioned way.
it is such the old-fashioned way for a lot of different reasons, and this one is a case in point for that.
Right, and it was instantaneous when we kind of came up with this idea of, okay, we've just met, but we're going to do this.
We decided
that night.
Wow.
Yeah, like we're doing it.
We're doing it.
That's so great.
Yeah, and we the Four Winds Advisors name, I mean, we kicked around a few other names, but that one we settled on, I think, because it's indicative of the different directions you can go in. You know, that because you're contemplating your future, you can go in this direction or that direction. And when we meet with folks, we're really not pointing them in a direction. We're just giving them the information they need to make a more informed choice for themselves, which I think takes a lot of the pressure off of them. I think it's on our card, it's like no pressure, no judgment. Just
Yes.
information type idea.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
we're not, you could leave and say, okay, you know what, I don't think I'm getting a divorce, or maybe I'm not getting a divorce now. So it's, again, we want to make it clear that we're not here to help you get ready to get a divorce. We're here to help you make an informed decision about what path you might take and support you with the information that will give you the power to do that.
And you know, there's something else that you wrote that I thought was very interesting on your page. Is it getting more difficult to imagine a future with your spouse, but just as difficult to imagine it without your spouse? That to me says a lot.
Right.
You know.
We were trying to resonate with folks that are in that position, and proud to say we wrote that entire website ourselves.
Yeah.
And so, yes. Well, you know, as an attorney, you like to think you can communicate well, you know,
Right.
kind of thing. So both of us like to write. Obviously, Erica does it professionally as well. So it made it easier for us to collaborate on everything we wanted, the message we wanted to get out there.
Yeah, it's just brainstorming, and I wanted to capture what is in one sentence. Where Melissa and I were saying, how can we capture in one sentence that feeling? And we wanted that up front on the website.
Right. So I just want to go back to something you said. You are a writer as well as an attorney. Is that the same thing, or is that a different?
It's a totally different
So let's talk
part
a
of
little bit
my
about
part
that.
of my life.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So I am the editor of South Shore Magazine, which was created by Stan Blackmer.
Yes.
Yes. So, and I edit it and I write articles if he needs. I mean, multiple people obviously write for the magazines,
Sure.
but I contribute. I write articles as well. And then I have been working with a company in North Carolina for 7 or 8 years, freelance, where if they need writing or editing, they send it to me to do, which I really, really enjoy.
That's great. And so the business has already launched and gone fairly quickly. I mean, it sounds like you're rolling and it's working. So do you sleep? That's the question.
Yes. Erica has 3 young girls. My children are older and grown, so there's not the same stressors that I have that she
Right.
has. But I have to say, Erica handles it like a pro. She really does.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, you really do. So,
Thank
you
you.
know, we both have the same goal here, and trying to get a new business off the ground is a challenge. But, you know, again, it's been so well received by both the professionals we've run into and the people we've run into.
Lots of support from other businesses who are really supportive of us.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And you know that my friend who's a psychotherapist would be a good contact for you, because if she had people in her, in her client base that have those problems of worrying, should I do it, should I not, should I think about it, should I not, is there something else we need to be doing, that would be, again, networking and talking with Sandy and, seeing what she has to say about it.
Oh,
Definitely.
Yeah. No, therapists are an amazing resource for this. And I found that the therapists are happy that we're there as well.
Yes.
Because they don't have anybody for their clients to go to talk to about this, and now they do. And they're pretty happy about that, I gotta say.
Yeah, that's excellent. So,
Yeah.
so you're still doing your mediation business?
Yep.
You know, that's still rolling along, and then this is just like an added piece to it?
Yes.
So do you find that that's taking a little bit more time up than the mediation is? You know, you're feeling like it's something that people are like, this is what I want.
I think so far there's a balance. I mean, I personally, since I've been doing divorce law for 30 years, I also do divorce representation of folks in contested divorces. So I'm doing a little bit of everything. Erica has another niche for herself of writing separation agreements for folks as well. So we've all got our little hands in a few pies here, but it's all in the same arena of family law.
It's in the same arena, but with mediation versus this, they're so different. Someone who's ready for a mediator is at a totally different
place.
stage. So I don't think it's one or the other. You know, someone who needs a mediator would need us to mediate, and someone who needs, I don't know what's happening with my life. I think I might be getting a divorce. I'm not sure. That's another side. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, just thinking back on that, not knowing peace is huge. It just has to be. People must, just like you said, when they say, I get it, yes, you're right, you're talking just about what I want to hear. You know, that must be so rewarding for you.
It's actually interesting because it's the nuts and bolts of how this works that they want to know. They have a situation that they describe to you, and it's like, how do I do this? And they want to know, like, what's step A, B, C, and D, so they can formulate in their minds a plan of action for themselves.
Right.
Because there's so much they don't know.
Right. So when you say plan A, B, and C, is there a plan like that, or do they come in with this particular? If they have children, that's their first issue, is the children, or do you have it set up like, oh, this is how we do this?
There's no setup because people's situations are too
Different.
different. So we have to do intake. We have to really learn what is their situation, and then we say, here are the things you could do, and if you do this, here's what. Then this comes of that. And if you do this, here's what comes of that, that you have options. And the relief that they have, that they can think of a road to take, and also that there's not one road, right? That it's like, okay, you could go about this a few different ways. And again, as we said, no pressure, no judgment. So
Right.
it can be a big relief for them.
Yeah. So they just come in with their facts,
Right.
and then you take them, and then
They come in with their story, and then
Yes.
we can.
Yeah, we tailor what we tell them to their story. It's not just a cookie cutter response they get. It's exactly what they need to hear for what they need to do, which is, I think they find a relief. We also give them a timeline on how a typical divorce plays out and the different stages of it, which they actually seem to find helpful as well, because they don't realize that this can be done in increments. It's not just, okay, start and hit the start blocks and go. It's a process, and I
Right.
think they're a little reassured with that. We also give them an outline on what goes into a separation agreement, so that they're aware of all the areas they're going to have to contemplate and pull papers together to get the accurate information they need. So it's a nuts and bolts thing.
Right. So when you say a separation agreement, is that like you can't put the
That's a
the
divorce
horse
agreement.
before the cart? And I don't understand it all, even though I've been through it. So do you always have a separation agreement when you're thinking about a divorce? How does that work?
Oh, no. That comes when you actually do divorce.
Okay. Oh, and that's the separation agreement, because in my mind I'm thinking divorce and separation is two different things, are they?
Well, I've been doing this a long time, like
Yeah.
I said, and it's one of my pet peeves is why they call that a separation agreement.
Instead of a divorce agreement.
Right. They should
Right.
just call it a divorce agreement. Honestly, it's a misnomer.
But don't some people get separated and some people get divorced? Is that two different things?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, those are two different things.
So if you got a separation, I would say, then you have a separation agreement. No?
Not really. No, that's not how it works. The separation agreement is for the divorce. There's two separate ways to go about this. Either, if you feel like you need to separate, you can either file for divorce and work it through and see how it goes, or you can file a complaint for separate support, but very few people do. Because by the time they get down to filing something, they've pretty much decided they want to get a divorce. They just have to screw up the courage to do it, kind of thing. So And if you're putting together an agreement under a separate support situation that you described, it would never
Yes.
be called a separation agreement. It would just be a memorandum of understanding.
Okay, that's
kind
what
of
I was
thing.
trying to get at.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So there's all these different titles for the lay person. It's hard.
And that's
See?
what we're here for.
Yes, that's all good to know.
Yes.
So you have a website that people can go to. So what do you think is going to happen after this starts flowing? Do you have like a vision for the next 5 years, as they say, a strategic plan that would happen 5 years after this? Do you see a trend in, what people are doing now, as far as divorce goes? Do they stay together? Do they have kids and not even get married, which is...
That's happening as well.
Yeah.
I have to say, I haven't really thought beyond that. Aside from helping people, right now it's just, if in 5 years I can say I helped all these people, that's pretty much it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a trend towards a, quote, more holistic approach to divorce that I think we're tapping into as well. I see a lot more support groups out there for divorce situations, and weekends retreats for people who are in the middle of a divorce, and yoga classes for people in the middle of a divorce. So I think there's a lot more support for it now that it's more of an accepted situation for folks. So I think we kind of mainstream right into that trend, to tell you the truth.
So when you started doing this 30 years ago,
Yeah.
there was not a lot of people had a family, but they weren't married 30 years ago.
Not nearly as
No.
much, no.
It probably started around that time. So that must be a whole different ballgame if they want to separate as they're not married.
Oh, that's the funny thing. People think if they're not married that they're saving themselves a lot of aggravation, when they're actually causing themselves more aggravation.
And why would that be?
Because if you separate in that situation and you can't agree on everything, then you have to file a complaint in equity.
And that
you
means?
and that's a much thicker complaint than a divorce complaint, which is just one page. The complaint in equity is basically going on an equitable theory of law, meaning what's fair. And in order to determine what's fair, they have to start listing out everything each one of them has contributed to the joint situation they have, down to who bought the furniture, who put the roof on the house, how many groceries did we buy together. So it's a really tedious process. And then they still can end up in a trial. So they're really not saving themselves anything, to tell you the truth. Because, in divorce situations, there's a presumption, frankly, of pretty much 50-50 division of things.
Right.
But in their case, there's no presumption of how this is going to get divided
Oh,
up.
my goodness. Yeah. Yeah, so are you seeing any of those people come to you for mediation, even if they're not married? No. There would be no reason for them to come to you.
I've had a call about it.
Yes.
Yeah, about someone who was with someone for 15 years, and then
And they have children? Or no?
no children. But then it was just, okay, we're done, and there's no common law marriage in Massachusetts. So in California, I think it's 7 years. If you live together, like you're married for 7 years, they're just going to call you. They just are going to
Call
call
you married?
Yep.
Really? And we
they're
don't have
gonna-
that in Massachusetts?
no.
Do they have it in Vermont?
That's a good question.
Don't know why.
I'm just curious. Vermont
curious.
people are kind of out there sometimes. So, and no offense to any Vermont people. I love Vermont. Should be careful what I say.
Just asking.
Yes, exactly. Just asking. But
But it was kind of heartbreaking because I had say what you said. It's sort of like, sorry,
Right.
She's like, well, do I? I think she asked something about common law, or well, are they going to look at us because we've been together so long? Are they? And I'm like, no.
yeah. Yeah, so supposing somebody young gets married and they don't even think about this. I mean, that's what happened to me. I never thought about ever getting a divorce.
Right.
And all that goes into it. It's just unbelievable. Thank you.
I like to think when somebody's getting married, they're not thinking they're going
I
to get
know.
divorced.
Right.
I wasn't thinking that. Yeah,
And if they are thinking that, they can do a prenuptial.
that's true. Now,
Right.
do you get into any of that prenuptial business?
We've done prenuptials and postnuptials. You can actually do a nuptial after you're married called a postnuptial. And those come, it may seem like a strange animal, I
Yes.
know. But those come up when there's some problems in the marriage, maybe around a financial issue that's causing strain.
That's right.
So if you want to delineate that clearly during the marriage, you can make an agreement about it and then put it aside, and you hope that relieves the pressure from that issue. 9 times out of 10 it doesn't, and they end up getting divorced anyway. But they've tried.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah.
So if there's someone out there in television land that wants to get in touch with you, where would you say recommend them to go to your website?
Yeah, so that's probably the easiest to remember if you don't have a pen handy right now in TV land. So 4windsadvisors.com. And then our email is pretty easy. It's planning@4windsadvisors.com if you want to email us. And then our phone number is 781-871-1110. So, but a lot of information is on the website. We also have the easy contact us button that you can click if you want, and then we'll get your information and we can reach out to you. And just wanted to say also, a big part of when we were structuring this was confidentiality.
Yes,
So,
that's important.
Yes, because a lot of times if you're contemplating this, it's not something you're sharing with even your friends or your neighbors or even your spouse sometimes. So we've made it, we've had some safeguards, even how you pay, things like that, just to let you know that we take great care for that.
Great.
Yes. We even have a card that has no definition of our business on it. It just says 4 Winds Advisors and our names, just in case.
Yes,
somebody
exactly.
needs some
So
anonymity.
you've thought of everything.
We try.
Great. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. I know it goes so fast.
It does.
All of a sudden, I'm getting the signal that things are getting short. But certainly you can reach out to me if you can't find them at 4windsadvisors.com on their website. And I've been on their website. It's got some wonderful information and really thought-provoking statements like I read. You really thought about how people think about this, having done it so long. So thank you so much for being on. And thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. And if you want to get involved in RCTV and be a volunteer to do some camera work, it would be wonderful. They train you here. It's a wonderful organization. They allow people like me to come into your living room, which is wonderful. So I will just leave you with this one thing, to always be dynamic and to keep smiling because it's contagious. Thanks so much for joining tonight.